So there was a scientist in Russia, I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure even freaking Hillary Clinton went to visit this person, and he
Oh
was
yeah.
teaching blind children to
To
see,
yes.
using their inner screens the way you do. And I remember seeing like videos of these kids blindfolded, and some were blind from birth, and they were like playing basketball and playing ping pong, and
We also had contact with these people that do the clicking, like teaching like dolphins. He could ride skateboard. He could play video games.
wow,
It
and
was
he was
pretty
totally
amazing.
blind.
Yeah, totally blind, just by clicking.
Ben Underwood is blind. So how on earth does Ben do this? And this? And even this?
I don't think I've ever come across somebody like Ben. He was quite unique.
Ben lost his eyes to cancer, but unbelievably, he's taught himself to see with sound. Ben is the only person in the world who sees using nothing but echolocation.
Welcome to Far Out with Faust, everybody. I am Faust Chicho, and today I am joined once again, very excited, by an old friend of mine. One of my I think episode 4, she was officially my fourth episode on my podcast. Her name is Inge Bardor, and let me tell you about this incredible woman and what she's been doing. She's a renowned figure in the world of spiritual development, widely recognized as one of the leading super psychics. That's the term that was coined for people like her when she was younger. Her work gained significant attention when she was featured in Drunvalo Melchizedek's book, Living in the Heart, where she contributed her expertise on activating super psychic abilities in ordinary individuals. Inge's teachings are rooted in her deep understanding of the human heart's sacred space, a concept that is central to Drunvalo's work. She's known for her unique approach to psychic development, helping people tap into their innate abilities by exploring what is called the inner screen, she calls it that, of consciousness, a phenomenon that she has researched extensively and continues to work with. And Inge is the author of her own book. It's called Screens, which delves into the mechanisms behind these psychic abilities and offers practical guidance for unlocking them. This work synthesizes years of experience and knowledge into a comprehensive guide for those who are interested in enhancing their psychic faculties, which of course we all have. Inge, welcome back. Thank you so much for beaming in. I'm so glad we could make this happen.
No, thank you so much for inviting me again to your channel. I hear it has grown a lot. I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
And I have been seeing a lot of your podcasts, and they are very interesting. And you're always sharing something for people to wake up to hit that little even needle in people's brains or eyes, and for them to like go into different realities, which people are still not really understanding.
No, they're not. But more and more people are, and
Yes.
sometimes it really is one thing that makes them kind of stop and scratch their head long enough to be like, wait a minute. And that's kind of the way that we wake up, one way or the other, I think, in this life or the next. So
I think everything, well, not everything, but a lot of situations in this time. Well, first of all, as you know, it's very important to be in this world today, right? So it's just like not a lot of people understand it or remember, but there is definitely a very pinpoint of being in this time, of waking up, of pushing all this energy, which is very hard for people that are conscious sometimes, to like carry all this in certain way, a burden, like, and it's not that I want to be egocentric, but it was one of my first things that I knew all these changes were going to happen or are happening, and it's hard. So I understand the new kids that are being born, I call the new kids because it is a certain type of burden. I know you decide, I know it's your contract, I understand all that philosophy or that belief, because it is a belief. at the end of the day, because a lot of people cannot believe it, you know?
Yeah, no, I know.
Actually,
and it is important to remember.
that's maybe wrong. It's not a real belief. It's actually a fact.
Yeah.
Maybe people think that it's a belief. That was wrong. But definitely it's a very important in time to be right now here, and to have a body already it's pretty hard to get it, you know. A lot of people, which is happening, you know, overall after COVID, that they're like, oh, I'll just die, or I'm just going to commit suicide, and it's just not like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, and I don't know if you need to be intuitive to get a sense of it, but I feel like on some level of consciousness, most people have a sense of it. You know, I knew when the pandemic was put into effect that it was going to be very difficult for a lot of people, particularly a lot of older people who were going to be secluded, who were going to be cut off. And that is, you know, the quickest way to end a life that's in its golden years, is to cut it off from those things that are making it, you know, vital and alive. And that's love and family and all those things that are important, you know. And I got this great sense of how many people were gonna, you know, and it was like a tidal wave. It was terrible to contemplate and try and.
Well, actually,
you know, reconcile.
this that's why there's no website for me at the moment. I decided to kind of shut down my not completely, but I don't announce myself anymore, because it was a lot. I did it since I was very young. Maybe for other people isn't, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I decided to get into another reality for the moment, which is I started a clothing brand.
Oh, good for you.
I still help artisans, and
Yeah.
I want to make an association for them. It's everything. It's embroidered by them. But yeah, like all this energy, I decided to put it to a stop and not continue that path for a while. I don't know when it's going to come back.
Right.
Or if it will, I don't know. But if whoever asks me, I will definitely give a session. Or like, for example, you or Hunter that said, talk to this guy. I'm more than happy. But I think as well, I was giving like 500%.
Yeah.
And people are not ready to take that 500%. So I was like, people are, and it's not that I want to be egocentric or anything. It's just that there's a lot of healers out there, you know?
Yeah.
And there's definitely a process for each one of us. And for now, I just decided to.
You have to look out for you. You don't have to. You don't need to make any excuses or justifications. You know, I mean, when you're ready to return, if that day comes, you will. But you know, you need to take care of yourself and your own emotional and spiritual well-being first and foremost, or you can heal all the people in the world, but all you're doing is, you know, letting yourself become one of the people who need to be healed. And that's
just by being in this world, it's already, I'm pushing a lot of energy.
Yeah.
We're not a lot of kids like me, and I know that.
Yeah.
And actually, another interview you should do, it's I don't know if you have heard of her, but Sara Indigo. I'll give you her contact later.
Okay.
But she's blind, and she took me to Romania at some point. She's a wonderful. She was a student of Drunvalo. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I met her through them, and she's wonderful. And she is now a verbice, and she just did the walk of Compostela.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's a. I think
tell everyone what that is, because people probably, I'm sure they don't. Most people.
Well,
don't know
I haven't done it personally. My boyfriend did it last year. I was not able to go, and apparently it's an amazing experience. It depends what philosophy yourself you have as a person, and whenever you do it, it's just a very deep walk within yourself, inside of introspective.
Almost like a plant ceremony.
You could say it because it is very long. It's very long. It's if you I don't know exactly the kilometers that you have to walk for you to get a certificate, because you actually get a certificate.
Oh wow, okay.
And you have to go and get it stamped. But the whole process of like going, oh my God, you have that water. It's my favorite water in my. People
I love that.
People laugh at me. I'm like, this is the best water in the world.
It is. People are like, what is that, tequila? I'm like, what? No, it's just really good water.
Every time I go to the States, I order it. It's amazing because I'm living in Miami kind of right now, so it's in California you can get it very easily. But anyways,
nice.
Yeah, but it's so it is a beautiful walk. It's a beautiful path within yourself. Also, apparently, it's an amazing experience. Who do you do it with?
Yeah.
If it's with yourself, if it's with other people, if you do it in a family, boyfriend, husband, whoever.
That's cool.
And
so does this woman? Can she also? Does she have incredible psychic powers like you do? I mean, for everyone who didn't see the first podcast I had with you, I mean, I watched 5 minutes of it before we got on, and I was like, oh my God.
They can go into Drunvalo's video and
I feature in that video, and many of you in the spiritual community will have heard of Drunvalo and may know of his work. He wrote two. Well, he's written more than 2 books, but
he has written like 12.
Yeah. Do I have them? Right
Maybe 12, like around 12 books.
But probably his 2 most popular, besides Living in the Heart, are the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, and they have that very specific purple color. Many people have maybe seen them or even picked them up, but for those of you, maybe we'll run the video in this too. But you can see videos.
I don't know if I have never used this app, but maybe.
No, I can edit it in afterwards.
But no, you can paste it or you can pin it or somehow.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, you can find videos of Inge literally up on stage with Drunvalo at one of his lectures or conferences. Retreats, and he's having her demonstrate her ability to read through basically your shoes. You were using your feet at the time. I know that there's more than one technique to do this, but he kind of put you on the spot and got a newspaper and had you read it from your feet.
And she's going to read now the newspaper with her foot.
It's sort of like the style of the Jewish Star of David. It has like a lot of lines and circles around it. Here there are letters explaining what it is here. And the little circles on the point of each where the star ends. And in the middle, it's a big one with little signs around it. There's triangles all over and different colors. And the page is white.
But you realize we're coming to a time where there's not going to be any secrets. None. Everything will be exposed on every level of existence.
Also, a lot of people can use under their arms as well.
Well, it depends. It depends on each person.
Yeah.
But let's finish talking about the path of El Camino de Santiago.
Sure.
I think it's because you asked and we didn't finish. Maybe a lot of people are asking themselves questions. It is an amazing path. It has to do a lot with history, and it depends if you want to do it in a religious way, in a spiritual way, It's very open in many ways, and it is a very hard or harsh situation to your own body, because it's kilometers of every day. You can start like at 8 o'clock in the morning, you can finish at 8 o'clock at night. So it's definitely a magical moment, and you can find a lot of codes. There is I don't want to. There is a whole thing that has to do with the a lot of meaning whenever you decide to do it, and if you decide to do it. And there's a lot of nature, and you start to be thankful, and everybody does it for a different reason. Like I know someone decided to carry their computer everywhere, so they understand in their minds that they are carrying so much, not only information, but they're carrying something so material, and something and he was so afraid of losing it. So it's just a very different other people.
Whatever it is for each person, right? Yeah.
So I really recommend for everyone to actually go into it and research it. You have to be prepared. You have to take the right equipment, and be prepared with your feet, because you walk many hours a day. So anyways, so what was your next question? I'm sorry that I interrupt you, but
No, you're good. Thank you for clarifying about that. I'll have to check it out. I had never really.
We are ADD, so it's okay.
No, I know. We both do. So I remember, and I don't know if I read it about you or if you said it in our first podcast, but I mean, you were even tested by like NASA scientists when.
No, there were a lot of people that were tested in the NASA. My parents didn't want me to be.
Oh, okay. But
if they offered a lot of money and blah blah blah, they were like, I don't want my child.
They didn't want to subject you to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is, and I think today they're testing even more, but
maybe they are again. I know that for a while they there was no more funding to do much of it.
I really want to go to Joe Dispenza's workshop.
Absolutely should. Why haven't you gone yet?
I don't know, because every time we cancel twice. A friend of mine, I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I would love for someone to pick on my brain and see what really happens in there,
You absolutely should, and you can volunteer. I mean, he does a lot in Cancun, and he has a huge. I was
literally going to go, and I literally didn't. I'll do it tomorrow, and I didn't sign up. And anyways, the friend that I was supposed to go, she reserved the workshop, but she didn't reserve the room.
Oh.
So it's the perfect timing. Whenever it will be, it will be. But I really want to do that.
You absolutely should. I've gone, and I've had my EEG and my and everything recorded. I was actually, when he first started doing that, and that was kind of the groundwork for his books way back. And now, the science that they're recording and the data they're compiling and the studies they're publishing are just, the scientific and medical community are they're like, no, test it again. It's impossible. Of course. And so the amount of verified tests that they're having to do to show that this is what happens to his meditators. This is what the data shows happens to their blood, to their brain, how many times they've had to do it is just, it's insane, because the scientists are like, that's not possible. What is going on with these people, and why is it happening? How can they be having these effects? And it's amazing, because the cool thing about science is if you can replicate it enough times, then they can't deny what's happening. And Dr. Joe is more than happy to continue to just create the environment and have the instruments record the data and let people decide for themselves. So he kind of takes himself out of the equation and just says, look, I'm not saying this, the data is saying this. I'm just running the experiments, which is a good way to keep yourself out of the line of fire.
Everything,
Yeah. But anyway, so.
Yeah, but all this, Drunvalo is an exceptional being as well. He
Yes.
has a lot to give and a lot to teach. And, well, all this extra vision or extraocular, or however certain people call it, it really helps children to be in center, to be focused, to be within, you know. It's a very... when I was little, when I was in, I think it was like 3rd or 4th grade, that for me it was being very, very difficult to pass my year.
Yeah.
I had terrible difficulties in school.
Me too.
Till
yeah.
today, for me, is like, oh my God, you tell me an exam, and it's just something I haven't been able to completely overcome. It
Yeah.
was so traumatizing. And so I was not able to pass, and we met this teacher. Well, first of all, I don't know if you remember, but I had an accident.
I do remember. You almost died, didn't you? You have a near-death experience.
Exactly. And it was very interesting because I wanna talk about
Sure.
this other accident I just had.
Okay.
That accident was on this side, and I'm almost sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. I'm ambidextrous, so right and left I have no recollection. Sometimes whenever I drive or someone drives, they have to tell me like that side. You can't tell me right or left, because if not,
Right.
I go to. So I think that has been pretty difficult, as well as being in this world, you know, just the equilibrium, a father and mother, right and left, you know, knowing what to...
The polarity of it all, yeah.
So this workshops teaches you to... I haven't given one. Well, I gave a private one not long ago, but I haven't given one for a long time. But these children I still have a lot of clients that have taken this workshop many, many years ago, and they're like, it helped me for this, it helped me for this in my life. Like, because of that workshop, now I can be strong. Because of that workshop, now I understood, you know.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of situations that definitely change you to become another person after that workshop.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's because it gives you, well, first of all, it definitely changes DNA, because you're healing a lot of
Yep.
a lot of depth in you, a lot of layers of who you really are. So all those layers you're already healing. So by healing, you are able to change your DNA.
That's right.
By changing it, you evolve. Well, it depends if you're going to change your DNA through medication or through certain things that are chemical to your body.
That's a
different story.
Yeah.
But this workshop, it gives you the tools to be able to evolve in other ways.
Amazing.
And as I said, when I was little, it was after my accident, this teacher, for me, it was very difficult to read, to focus, and this workshop helped me to at least have a little bit more focus.
Are you talking about Drunvalo's workshop?
No, my workshop, the workshop
Okay.
that
Okay.
Well, I want to say reading without your eyes, because some people don't understand what's extra vision or extraocular.
Right.
And in Spanish it's also called derma perception, because the derma is the dermis, is the
That's
skin,
right.
and perception because you perceive whatever is around you or whatever you're touching. A lot of kids today, and there has been a lot of kids going on there that they do it with they don't even have to touch, because they're on another level. They're just a lot more advanced. I was never able to not touch, but I know that there's a lot of people,
Right.
a lot of kids that can do it today. And it just has a lot of
I was just
a lot
watching
of
a video.
power. It
Yeah.
gives you a lot of power within yourself. That's the most. That's the description, or how I can describe it the best.
I was just watching a video with these kids who were doing just that, and I think it was it was either in the UK or Australia, I think. But I was like, this is like the X-Men school, for the gifted. And I would. It's just amazing to me that it flies so under the radar, and that scientists aren't clamoring to try and figure out how they're doing it. When in fact we have so much documentation now that they are doing it, that they can do it, that it is a thing, and it's just amazing to me how society just continues to stumble on in this materialistic prejudice, blind to these amazing and incredible and important things. But just so for everyone who's listening, Drunvalo Melchizedek is like, if you don't know who he is, his work absolutely changed my life. I was at a Joe Dispenza retreat, and I was sitting across from a woman who was also incredibly gifted psychic. And I had never met her before, but I had a friend who told me, you have to meet my friend. She gets downloads about people. So I was sitting across from this person who I had not even officially met yet, and I keep catching eyes with her. And this was probably way back in 2017. Okay, so I was just finding my way on my journey to my heart. And amazingly, this woman, she says to me, she stops what she's talking about, and she looks at me, and she says, "Can I tell you something?" And I said, "Yeah, yes." And she said, "It's personal." Those were her first words to me. And I said, "You better tell me, yeah." And she looked at me in the eye and she said, "I can see how big and beautiful your heart is, but I can see how wounded it is." And she said, "And I can tell you where to go to help heal it, how to open it." And somehow she knew that was exactly the mission I was on, because at the time my heart was very closed and I was struggling to try to open it, because physiologically and psychologically I had been conditioned to keep it closed and protect myself. And it was no longer a choice for me. I couldn't even consciously or voluntarily open it anymore. And so imagine being in a situation where that you're stuck in a body that you can't open your heart. You can't fully feel love. It was crazy and excruciating in a lot of ways. So she sent me to Drunvalo's work. She told me to read his book. She told me to find his teachers. She told me to seek his workshops because they will help me. And they did immensely. And a lot of the ink that I have, it's also inspired from his work. His books are incredible. So that's just a little context for, the lineage that Inge comes from. And she worked, for many years with Drunvalo, and he, he was always amazed by her abilities. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought I would give everyone a little more context since they probably haven't seen the first episode.
No, I think Drunvalo has a lot of information, and I was actually seeing a video of him that I don't think it's recent, but he was saying how he accepts to be a multidimensional being in this world, and how he is an extraterrestrial. Like, he's very aware of a lot of his
Syrian,
gifts,
isn't he? Everyone says it.
Yeah, he does. He definitely. And when you know him, he's not from here.
Yeah.
He just.
I would love to meet him. I just know I have stories from you and Hunter, and we were trying to get him on for a while, but I don't know what he's up to. His story is absolutely incredible. Everyone who reads it and reads his work is like, they're kind of blown away by it. And I know that Dr. Joe Dispenza and like Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, those guys, they used to go see him, kind of before they really blew up. But they would always make a visit to Drunvalo, and they would find him and they would just spend the day with him. I know that because my friend told me who I just mentioned to you, the one who told me to find his work. So I was like, wow, he's like the godfather of spirituality.
Yeah, he was doing it when nobody did, and when nobody. That's what he says in that it's amazing that he had to, build or like develop his Merkaba for, I don't know how many days he took. I think 14 or something.
Yeah.
And now people do it in one afternoon. It's like, that's not fair.
No, it's crazy. I know. Yeah. the way that we expedite and learn how to do things quicker. So let's discuss, I think, because in the book Living in the Heart, which is a fantastic book, and there's a lot of techniques in that book to help you access this sacred space, this heart center or chakra, whatever you want to call it. But you discuss what you call the inner screen, and that's something that you can access and that other psychics like you can access. But how does it, what's its function in psychic development? How do you work with it?
Sorry, I'm not sure what you're referring to the inner screen or psychic, because it's a very different, well, it helps one to each other, but it's not the same thing.
Can you explain how it's different?
Because the inner screen, whenever you can develop the inner screen just to play or just to anything, just to make it normal. Like, for example, we had 2 dentists. Well, it was not me. It was a couple of years, well, whatever. There was a little bit before I was with this teacher, and they were 2 dentists, and they never really became psychic. It was not very they didn't want it to be, but they could communicate from room to room because they were both dentists, and they decided to have their office next to each other, and they could communicate from door to wall to wall. So it's very different whenever you take this workshop. How is it going to impact your life, or how is it going to impact your abilities? For example, for some kids, for them it's difficult to be good at math. Maybe they'll get better at math. Or if their reading situation is not very good, they'll be better at reading. So it really depends. There's another story of this guy in Venezuela that I think that was one of my most magical workshops that I have ever given. The people are amazing, and it was just beautiful. It didn't start amazing, but it ended amazing and beautiful, and the people were it's people that I still have a lot of contact with, and I found like very warming, these people, and I'm very sad for what's going on with their country.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was not able to go back. But
what was so amazing about the
everything
workshop?
Everything. It was just the energy. It was warm. It was beautiful. People were open. There was not a thing that that they were not envious. They were not. It was a perfect flow.
Nice.
Because in a lot of workshops, for example, in Colombia, some people got mad because out of 50 people, there were 2 people, and they were the only 2 that they couldn't read, and it was a couple. And it was the only 2 that before the workshop, they literally sent me like a letter that it was like 3-page long, like front and back. And they told me, I meditate, I go, right. And it was the only 2 that couldn't do it.
Wow. And they were a couple. That's
actually, I think they were the directors of the school of Drunvalo.
Oh, wow.
in Colombia, and they so it stopped a lot of who I was there.
Yeah.
But so those type of things didn't happen in Venezuela, in completely the country.
Yeah.
It would the situation wouldn't be what it's going on. I would be going back, but that's a place that I would go back for sure, because they were so. The people have just such a depth, and they're so everything is just like so welcoming in their homes, in their the food that they give you, like everything.
Yeah.
I found a second mother there.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So one of these guys, he's a Tai Chi and Qigong and mantra teacher. He's an amazing, he has an amazing practice. And he got to my workshop and he was like, obviously he told me this afterwards, but he was like, I can't see anything. I can't read. This is like bullshit.
Yeah.
And the next day he started to see.
Wow.
And when he started to work, he's like, now I can read my patients' minds. Because in his practice, the practice that he does or the school that he comes from, sometimes he cannot directly ask certain questions or he
Right.
cannot make a certain type of discussion because the practice or the philosophy doesn't permit it. So now
He can
he
skip
can
the
read
part
to
where
their,
he has to
their
ask.
patients, or as well in the same philosophy, the students can't ask certain questions sometimes,
Right.
because for respect as
Right.
for the master. So after this, he was super impressed because he could read the minds of his students.
Nice.
So
There were-
it really impacts in a very different way to everyone. For
Yeah.
me, it took me a very long time because I didn't really read the magazine or the paper at the beginning. Actually, for me, it was I wanted to concentrate a lot more in the spiritual side, and then it was kind of for the show that I had to learn the other part. But for me, it was important more.
Yeah.
There
Well,
were
and
like
what's crazy is we live in a world where people need to see one to believe
Exactly.
the other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Which is backwards, of course, but
Exactly. So there are kids that in the same workshop were developed, the same teacher, and she doesn't do anything spiritual, nothing.
Wow.
But
just-
sometimes in lunches or something, like she reads, but her is pretty impressive because she can cover her whole face.
yeah. Wow.
I cannot do that. So it's very, it depends, you know.
Yeah. That's so, but for her, it's purely a psychic exercise, I guess, right? It's not
It's not
so
even
much.
psychic. For her, it's like just a show. It's just cool to do it, and people are impressed. Oh, I can do it. Like ah la la, and she does it, and that's it.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. For her, it's not really psychic. It's just something that,
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be like, me lifting weights for people.
exactly. It's
You know,
just doing
being
another
like,
trick.
Yeah, wow, look.
Exactly, I can do this. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know. And whenever you get to do it, for me, it's completely normal to do it. You know,
Right.
or for another child to do it. Yes, I say, oh my God, it's amazing. And overall, whenever these kids, for example, they can just see the object on top and they don't even know. And a lot of people get confused with what it is. It's real magic and magic, which is a very different path. The way you study, the way I have been with magicians, and I took a workshop with a magician, and the way of them, their training and everything is completely different. It goes to another part of the brain.
Are you talking about a magician like a true magician or like a stage magician?
like a stage magician.
Okay. Like
It's very
like a
different,
David
their
Copperfield, right? Like someone who,
Exactly.
and that's
That's a real trick.
right. But it's the art of it's misdirection. There's nothing supernatural about it most of the time.
Well,
as far as I
actually-
understand it.
Not supernatural, but I think that whenever you do this path as well of magic, it has a very interesting way of discipline. And at the end of the day, somehow you need a certain type of magic. And that's why you get where you get
Yeah.
where you are, you know?
I mean, like there was
David
one.
Copperfield, I think he has a certain type of magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly a certain kind of talent, but it's a talent that can be taught and practiced, I guess, but you can make that claim about most things. You know, like I know that it's more like, I mean, it's, as far as I understand it, you know, there's people like Uri Geller who have a way of combining both, which is great for someone like him. At least when he was in his prime, he could do a lot. Which showcased his psychic ability. But then I think that he kind of, you know, whatever happened to him, he stopped being able to do it because he started to be exposed later as he got older, and he continued to try to do some of the feats that he was able to do at Stanford Institute that he was filmed doing and recorded doing, and he kind of blew those scientists away. But then later on, I think it became about parlor tricks and not so much about his psychic ability because it was not dependable. Which, when you talk to people who, you know, are remote viewers or, you know, have been working with the government in some way using their psychic abilities, they'll tell you that, yeah, if you get in your ego, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye to your accuracy. Say bye-bye to your skills. Your ego will...
It gets on the way.
It gets in the way. And Uri Geller probably had a lot of trouble with the fame that he received and was getting with his ego. So it makes perfect sense to me. But I know a little more about these things than I think most people. Everyone else just is like, yeah, he was always a fraud. I'm like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't a fraud at Stanford. He blew them away, and they have all this data they collected from him. You know.
No, I think it also depends on your path, on who you are. I think it has to do, and that's what this, for example, for me is super important, that whenever you heal, and the more you heal, the more you understand about your ancestors, the more you start like confronting all this pain that we all have, and we all live somehow in a certain time of your life, and it's either your parents or your school or your teachers. Something happens in you that definitely you have certain pain. Right. Everything has, and if we would not have that pain, we would not be able to really transcend and to grow and to evolve. That's why we are here, to feel good and bad.
And
so if
from
we don't
that
feel,
comes the greatest. I mean, I keep telling and trying to emphasize to my children about how there's really no such thing as failure. It's just practice and learning. You know, the way that people get better and evolve at something is by figuring out better ways to do it, and in fact by getting it wrong oftentimes or having something wrong happen. You know, I mean, that's been my greatest source of light in my life, is all the darkness that I came through. And I say that because it's as obvious as, you know, it's like as the letters on this bottle, you know, it just is. And I think most people don't realize that, but we are inclined to avoid the pain, avoid the trauma, avoid the memories of it. Even our minds and our memories are designed to, you know, kind of file that away. And emotionally, we do the same thing. You know, we metabolize joy and happiness easy, right? But pain and trauma and suffering, the body's like, I don't know what to do with this. Maybe just store it over here for now. And that's not, you know, that's what happens to our bodies. And then we get stuck with this, and we have to integrate it. We have to heal it. We have to find a way to metabolize it. So
yeah, it depends on each person how you deal with certain things in your life.
Right.
And sometimes you can deal with it, and it's still painful, or it still life still keeps on bringing it up. But there's something that you haven't healed, or you haven't seen, or you haven't gotten deep enough to understand, and that's why it just keeps on coming up.
It's true.
Like, because of this workshop, you can heal a lot of things, and by healing all those things and the different places that you go into, it's why and how you are able to really get into your inner screen. There is a technique for the inner screen. But if you really want to develop this psychic part, the more you heal within yourself, the more you're going to open up. It's like nature.
Yeah, like exactly like a flower. Like, I mean, that's so many people have their perceptions and abilities, if you will, come online after they begin to heal, after they begin to have an awakening, and things that they just begin to understand and perceive more. And that's not a coincidence. That's part of the healing process and the DNA that, unfurling. We have this intergalactic DNA, and the more we can allow it to express itself and unfurl, I think the more our abilities will manifest and multiply. But
That's
Go ahead.
that's also another part of it's not only the healing. Whenever you heal and you're in tune and you're aligned, it's the way you can actually manifest a certain reality that you want to.
Absolutely, they go hand in hand.
That's like the actual reality, or the reality that most people or most of the beings in this world are living. It's very different as a certain reality that you can live. But until you don't make it happen, you don't understand that there are different realities within this world.
Right.
And every time more and more, as even scientists are discovering that apparently in 2050, we are going to be able to even go into worlds and different realities, and we're going to understand a little bit more. But well, in the meantime, you can have other paths if you want.
Right. So there was a scientist in Russia. I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure even freaking Hillary Clinton went to visit this person, and he was teaching blind children to see, using their inner screens the way you do. And I remember seeing like videos of these kids blindfolded, and some were blind from birth, and they were like playing basketball and playing ping pong. And anyway, I'm trying to remember, like, who was that? And like, did you have any contact with him as well?
I had contact with some of his people. I never met him, but yeah, we had contact. We also had contact with these people that do the clicking, like teaching like dolphins.
Oh yeah, that's right. What was his? Do you remember his name? What was his name?
No, I'm sure Hunter has all the.
Oh, we'll find him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was this. He's on the internet as well. Like, this kid died of cancer. He was born with cancer at like 3 years old. He had cancer, and he was blind. And he was one of the best that I think I don't know if today there's someone that does it better than him, but he could actually see a truck along his way. He could ride skateboard. He could play video games.
Wow.
It was pretty amazing.
Totally blind.
Yeah, totally blind. Just by clicking.
Ben Underwood is blind. Both eyes were removed when he was 3, leaving him with no vision at all. So how on earth does Ben do this? And this? And even this?
I don't think I've ever come across somebody like Ben. He was quite unique.
Ben lost his eyes to cancer, but unbelievably, he's taught himself to see with sound. Ben has no guide dog and never uses a white cane. Instead, he sees with sound. He makes a sharp click which bounces back off nearby objects. Amazingly, Ben's ears pick up the echoes and he can precisely locate where things are. Ben is the only person in the world who sees using nothing but echolocation.
So there are a lot of things in this world that we have no idea and we're not seeing. And that's the certain reality that we can live in. And we choose to live and we choose to be asleep. That's exactly, the other day, it was crazy that someone asked me, what's a good toothpaste that I can use without fluoride? And someone else turns around and said, oh my God, why don't you want to use fluoride? It's the best thing in the world. So it's like, how can you see, it's like one end to another complete end.
Right.
So you are in different realities, even in this world.
Oh, I
During
know.
COVID, there were thousands of realities
Yeah.
of how you went through pandemic.
Yep.
And the world is never the same, and it will never be the same. And most probably there's another one coming.
Yeah. Well, they're going to try.
Yeah, they're going to try.
They're not
at
going to
least.
succeed with monkeypox, but they'll probably go for something else, Anyway, hopefully people are wiser this time around,
I hope so.
God willing, because what a shit show.
And that's something that I find it still crazy that today a lot of people understand that the thing,
Yeah.
was so harmful for them. And they're still going back to the same people that put it on
I
them.
know.
It's like
I know.
I'm sick and I have this, and I'm sure it was this thing, but
No, I know.
am going back to the same people that put it on me. I'm like, how can you understand? Like, you didn't learn anything. You're not.
No.
But,
I
so
know.
it's
Believe
still,
me,
we're still, in that sense, that's what I'm saying. We're still behind, and we're like not.
Yeah. So what are some of the first steps that someone can take to begin to unlock psychic potential? Like, what would you say?
Well, I think you can never get obsessed with anything, and you can never be too much of anything, because anything too much, it will be bad for you. But the more you heal within yourself and you understand your traumas, and you really understand, and you get to know who you really are, and what's your shadow, and what's all that, I'm going to say it, all that shit that is like in there, because it is, it's, and all that, and sometimes it's really not yours.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
it's all in your ancestors,
Yep.
And if there is something, or certain people that are interested in one of these workshops, we can definitely organize one.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Like in person or by Zoom.
Okay. So, question: how do you feel about maybe some predictions? If I was to ask you, just to, just the things on the horizon, things I'm sure that you have had impressions of and contemplated. I like. Would you feel on the spot if I asked you for a few predictions?
Sorry, you said some predictions for what's going.
Prediction, like psychic predictions.
Oh, well, I think there is another. I believe I've seen that there's another type of pandemic coming.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the same style as you said, but maybe it's going to be scarier.
Not for me.
Well, for certain people, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They are, every time more and more, as you can see, but we're going to be able to see them, and there's going to be an invention, and there's going to be a lot of experiences with extraterrestrial beings.
Good.
Yeah,
When?
I can't wait.
How long you think?
What? It's there, like people are already having them.
Oh, I know they are, but what I mean is,
I think in the
2025,
2025, we're definitely going to see a lot more of this, because we're getting ready. A lot of people are not ready yet.
That's for sure. Yeah.
We're definitely something that for me, it has always been very important, and that's also thanks to Hunter, the eating part, and a lot of things that he taught me. But you have to learn how not to eat, because most probably will be without food at least 15 days, 10 to 15 days.
You think it, like the whole world?
Yeah.
How and why?
Because already the food is going to, what I haven't been able to achieve is water, not to be without water. Somehow, I'm sure water, it will, Mother Earth is going to give us water somehow or the other. But food, certain communities are going to be without food.
certain communities are without food right now.
Well, that for sure, but
Yeah.
you know, it's and somehow it's available.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest travesty of it all is the fact that we have more than enough food and water for everyone on the planet, and instead of focusing on the most basic necessity of life needs, getting people who need water and food and water, and using the technology we have, both hidden and above ground, to do that, we're far too busy, creating weapons of mass destruction and selling them to other countries to obliterate people.
And not only that,
Yeah.
for example, all these secrets that we could know and we could
Yeah.
teach
I know.
other people how to live without food. We're making people hungry, and
Yeah.
people are not have access to like only water. The water could be a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
But
That's for sure.
and they sell certain products in the supermarket, not certain, 90% or 80% of the food. And today, it's either chemically produced.
Oh, for sure. In America, absolutely.
And not only that, they're putting like all the shit in our food and the water.
Oh, I know. Who do you think's going to win, Trump or Kamala? What do you?
I don't like to get into politics.
I don't blame you. So, tell me your impression, because I have, I've been keeping close track of these.
And before you ask me the next question,
Go ahead.
I think in question of predictions, I think we're going so fast in this life that only the resonance of Schumann is changing every day, and maybe not every day, but every 2, 3, 5 days we have a different vibration. So
Yeah.
in question of predictions, I think it's moving so fast
It's hard, yeah.
that it's hard to actually predict certain things.
Yeah, I know. I usually have.
And I like to be more. I'm
Like I told people, and I told Hunter, and I told a lot of people who were convinced that Trump was going to win 4 years ago, and I said, "Listen, not going to happen. They're not going to. Even if he wins, they're not going to let him win. I mean, that's what the pandemic and everything was about. And all the events leading up to that election were to make sure that he didn't win that election, whatever the cost. And it's not going to be close. They're going to make sure that it doesn't seem close, even though, a lot of people, myself included, believe that definitely there was something very, very suspicious about the whole thing, that the way it went down. But this one I have not been able to cue
and about
into.
the attempt as well.
What's that?
And about the attempt.
Yeah.
That literally, it's ruled by another system, another vibration, and I literally don't like to get into.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
Hold on.
I usually have a pretty.
You
good
see,
idea.
just talking about that, it gives me allergies.
Sorry.
No, that's. But
Well-
I think all this energy, instead of seeing or trying to push a certain energy of what's going to happen and getting into all that negativity or being stressed about what's going to happen tomorrow or in stocks or in business, in presidential and politics, I would advise more for people to be more into themselves, more to find their light, more to meditate, to be present, to grow into that sense, to heal, to be the best parents that you can be, to study whatever you can, and adapt the education of each of your children of what they need for what they needed. So I don't really get into predictions. Actually, in my sessions, my path and my guides don't like to talk about the future.
Right.
I'm not a person to talk about the future. For me, it's a lot more about the present.
Yeah.
Because the future, you can change it. And overall today,
And realities are always shifting and changing.
they're like you can be living in 2, 3, 5, 7 realities at the same time.
Yeah.
So for me, there is not really a future in anything. I think the present is the most important, and whenever we achieve that, it's that whenever we can be the happiest, and whenever we can be able to live in the real present, we can really manifest because we are in equilibrium.
Absolutely. And there is only now. At any point in time.
And even what I said, it could even change, you know.
Yeah.
Even the dates, it could change for. Actually, right now, I was telling you about the second accident that I just had a couple of. Actually, it was the 31st of December, at 2:00 in the morning, and the 1st of January. And for me, it was I definitely connected myself to something else or someone else. And it was very weird because that same day there were apparently these extraterrestrials, they appeared like an hour away of where I was. And I was talking about extraterrestrial life to people after my accident. So obviously everybody thought that I was completely insane. More than it's
more
impossible.
Than usual. Yeah.
But I think it opened me to something else because actually that accident, it was on the other side of the head. So
Awesome.
It definitely, and it gave me a lot of equilibrium. It grounded me a lot more. I'm happier, and it helped me to be more into this world, more into the present. So once again, it taught me
Yeah.
the
Was
same.
it a car accident?
No, I literally fell.
Oh.
I fell, like literally. I slipped and I fell.
Damn. You hit your head.
It was pretty late, but still.
Were you drinking? I'm just kidding.
No, I was. Sorry, what did you say?
I said, were you drinking?
Actually, I was.
Sometimes that accompanies a slip and fall. Yeah, I know about that. Well, Inge, it's awesome to catch up with you. And I love the advice that you gave everyone. It's very important right now with everything going on. And I think the more people can do that, then the less chaos that when they do open their eyes and look out into the world that you're going to see. Because that has been my experience, and that's generally the way things happen. The more peace you can create in your heart, the more you're going to see it in the world. And right now, the more people who do that, my God, the better off humanity is over and over. So, yeah, it's wonderful advice.
Well, I think it's very important as well to be conscious about the feelings, about what you say, your wording, how you talk to people, how you talk to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's even more important than what you are eating. Because sometimes if you get a certain energy to that food that you're having at that moment, and there are a lot of masters and Krishnas and a lot of different masters or high-level master teachers or spiritual beings that are in this world that I have met personally. And sometimes they are vegan or raw or whatever,
Yeah.
but if they are in a certain house and they offer them meat, they'll eat the meat.
Right, right.
So it doesn't have to do with anything of what their beliefs, or it doesn't affect them. That's what they say. It's not
Right.
going to, you know.
No, because
And-
they're going to change the vibration of that food. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, just for one meal.
Exactly.
So it's very important what you're. We have a lot of gossip in this. Sorry, there's a lot of mosquitoes that just
okay.
decided to come and bother us. But it's all this energy of how we are, you know, how we behave towards ourselves, how we behave every day with the other people.
Yeah.
Because that has to do with, you know, how the energy that you're going to put. And it has
Absolutely.
been tested already in many studies that if you put like the rice, you know, that they put
Oh, yeah,
one
the rice experiment,
rice in
yeah.
one room and the other rice. So the same for the water, you know,
Yep.
depending if you have filtered water or if you don't, it has been tested and how it can really help you and the vibration that can give you if you did really decide to give that high vibration to the water that you're eating, and just
Yeah.
be thankful, not only for the water, the food, and everything that it's around you.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a huge thing. It's literally everything. I think because that's gonna your health is gonna be decided by that. Your mental health, how you enjoy this life. If you're going to enjoy this life, it's all going to be decided on how you have chosen to go about it and the vibration you're bringing to it. So, absolutely. I want to put this out there for anyone who's interested in doing a workshop with Inge. Email me. Let me know. You can find my email both on if you go to my Instagram page. And click on that. There's a direct link to my email. It's the one Faust Chicho. That's the name of my IG handle. And let me know if you're interested, because if we get a few people together, we can arrange for a workshop. And then what I can do is I'll vlog. If it's cool with Inge, I'll record it, and we'll see. We'll get the process on tape. It'd be amazing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I think this little thing wants to come in TV.
Hey, what's his name?
Chihuahua.
Cute.
She came already 3 times. I'm sure she wanted to
Yeah.
have a little bit of
Share the
15
spotlight.
minutes of fame.
Well, Inge, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we had a chance to catch up, and I hope maybe to meet you in person and see you sometime in the future, hopefully, maybe
It would
before
be-
2025.
It would be amazing, and
Yeah.
to meet you as well and your children. And
Yeah.
yes, if someone is interested in a workshop, we can. It has to be a couple of people, so
Yeah.
we would have to get the enough people, or a session. They can contact you or contact me
Okay.
directly for sure, and it will be a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, my friend. For everyone listening, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review if you've enjoyed the podcast. If you've been enjoying the podcast, we appreciate that. Check out Inge. She's also on Instagram, right? You're still on Instagram. Yes, you
Yeah.
are. And if you are interested in having a session with her, reach out to us either through the comments on this video or through my email address, and we'll put you in touch with Inge. And thank you again, my friend. It's been awesome.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
You take care. We'll talk soon.
Have a great night.
You too.